Alright, we're here to start our own Pokemon card business. If you're genuinely interested in this topic, let's not waste too much time. I'm going to give you a brief introduction, then we can get started. My name's Stevie. I'm with Uncle Steve's Card Shop, named after my father, Uncle Steve. We are a 5-figure Pokemon business running out of our house. And I'm here to tell you how our first few months went and how we got into this space. So because I grew up on Yu-Gi-Oh! And I grew up on Pokemon, I ended up loving card games. As a kid, I collected the cards for both games. I can't even remember a single hit I ever hit in Pokemon. I can remember hitting multiple hits in Yu-Gi-Oh! However. And that's how I, in my childhood, came to love cards. I also remember school ground, trading with the kids, some very obscene deals happening. But these are some of my early memories for Pokemon and for card games in general. I then decided to get into Pokemon after surviving COVID. I remember laying in my bed, binging videos about Pokemon cards, finding myself falling in love with it all over again. So to get to our business, you're going to need some funds if you want to get started with this. Chances are, if you're a genuine person that wants to get into this sort of hobby or sort of business, you're going to have a collection of your own. I'm going to suggest that you liquidate that so you can have starting capital, unless you have some starting capital through a different means. Maybe you have some money saved up. But in our case, I decided to liquidate my Magic collection. Now, I didn't liquidate all of it. I still have likely 5 figures within it, and it is still for sale, but I had enough starting capital to begin getting Pokemon. So for disclaimer, this wouldn't exactly be my first card show. It would be my first card show, however, looking for Pokemon, which is one of the best ways that I have found 8 months in to actually source products, but we will get into that in a little bit. I attended my first card show, day one, couldn't find anything. I was asking to buy stuff at vendor prices. Who would have thought? Vendors can't really provide me the price they're buying cards at. That breaks them even and gives them no money. I quickly learned I'm going to have to pay a decent chunk more if I want to get a good deal. And so our first deal in Pokemon came later, where we bought a DSG-8 Gengar, which I could show on screen actually, one moment. This guy right here is the first card I got coming back into Pokemon. Now more specifically, Uncle Steve wanted this card. I, however, had my reservations about it, especially with the fact that it is a DSG slabbed card. I never heard of DSG. Later I've learned they're a perfectly okay grading company, but there is no premium on this card to most people. And it is really hard to move, and this would be a big mistake, I would say, in terms of having a business in terms of Pokemon. The other things we got during our first event was 151 Japanese Bulbasaur, Squirtle, and Charmander. I still have one of the Bulbasaurs. He is still for sale, and it's been about 8 months, so probably should try to move this a little harder, but one important thing for me is I really enjoy the card. So if I'm stuck with this, I'm a big Bulbasaur fan, so this sounds great. Now when I first started, I did not know exactly what I was doing in terms of grading. I didn't know exactly what I was doing in terms of sourcing. I did not know exactly how I would even move these sorts of cards. For the most part, I was moving raw and TCG Player, and especially my commons and uncommons, and getting money out of them finally, because it's so hard to get money out of commons and uncommons. But in this case, this is something I had to learn. This is something that I had to figure out. This is a market I had to understand. And so that's why I've been producing videos to try to help people like me get into the space faster. And that's why I try to be a resource for other people. And so we've made it through essentially what would be your first month, first 1 to 3 months. Attend your local card shows, see what deals you can get after you've accumulated funds to be able to go ahead and move stuff. Outside of that, I can go ahead and show you on TCG Player exactly what it looked like when we first started. I can show you on eBay once we start getting graded cards moving. But this was essentially our first month. And it's going to be most people's first months. It's starting slow, figuring out how to package stuff, figuring out how to move stuff, figuring out how to price stuff. You got to get all your ducks in a row. And that's going to be very important for the future. Currently, in the 2025 market, things have been hot, things have been hard to really figure out in terms of getting a good price. But for the most part, things have been going pretty well. If you choose to buy things that are fairly liquid at a good price and you really dig in, I've been finding some good prices. And so we can end our first part with this. Step 1 to all of this is sourcing capital and trying to begin to find stuff at good prices and educating yourself on the market. I believe that's the first part for any of this. And then we can get to our next part where I can tell you just how I'm sourcing inventory or what I'm sourcing.